I'd like to talk a little bit more about kata. Kata is a great way to learn the different techniques and to memorize the different techniques. It's like a mnemonic, like a memory aid. So by learning multiple kata, and we have 26 of them in our style, so there's plenty to go at. By learning these kata, you can see within the kata many, many different techniques. And from those kata, you can take those techniques and practice those techniques individually, up and down in the lines, in different directions. There's many ways to practice the individual techniques, but by the fact that we have kata, we can see that those techniques exist, and that we can be reminded of those different techniques. Because when we practice our basics up and down in the lines, formal training of basics, we don't generally practice all of the movements found in our art. You know, how many times do we go up and down the lines practicing ridge hand strike? Or up and down the lines practicing washide, eagle hand? You know, it very, very rarely happens, if at all. Even techniques such as Marote Uke, assisted block, need to have some more extra training and practice. These techniques are found in the kata. So by studying our kata, we can see not only how they're used, but we can also see the different techniques in our style, take those out of the context of the kata and practice those techniques individually. So if you're sick and tired of practicing front punch and rising block and those type of techniques, look at kata and see there are many, many other movements in there for you to practice at home or for you to practice in class. Traditionally, kata, several hundred years ago, there wasn't really a writing system as such. Not as many people were literate or educated. So to write down notes on a kata was a very impractical thing, or to write down notes on basic techniques so these techniques could be passed on to future generations was not something that was done. But by forming kata, where we take all of these techniques and put them in a formalized sequence, now it's easy to remember these techniques and they can be passed on to future generations. So the fact that there wasn't really a writing system, or that most people couldn't write or couldn't read, there was no way of putting this information forwards so it can go to future generations. So the masters of karate came up with kata, forms, and practiced these techniques based on their own experience in their training. They would make a kata, and then that could be taught to their students, so the student has almost like a database of techniques. So within Shotokan, there's 26 kata. Those movements within the kata form our database of techniques, of basic techniques in our style. So kata is a very good memory aid to help us learn lots of new techniques. So don't overlook kata and don't overlook the techniques found in kata. That's a very essential part of your training.